Love is a powerful force that can bring two people together, creating a bond that seems unbreakable. It is in this realm of love that our story begins, with a couple who appeared to be the epitome of perfection. Their love story was one that many envied, a tale of two souls finding solace in each other's arms. Sarah and David, the protagonists of our story, met in college and instantly felt a connection that transcended time and space. Their love blossomed like a beautiful flower, filling their lives with joy and happiness. They were inseparable, their love radiating from their every interaction. As their relationship progressed, Sarah's true nature began to reveal itself. At first, it was subtle, barely noticeable. She would make snide remarks about David's appearance or belittle his achievements. These comments were disguised as jokes, but the underlying tone of superiority was unmistakable. David, blinded by love, brushed off these early signs of trouble, believing that Sarah's behavior was merely a result of stress or a bad day. He convinced himself that her love for him was unwavering, and that her occasional outbursts were just a temporary glitch in their otherwise perfect relationship. But as time went on, Sarah's abusive behavior escalated. She became increasingly controlling, dictating what David could wear, who he could spend time with, and even how he should think. She isolated him from his friends and family, creating a bubble where she was the sole authority in his life. Sarah's verbal abuse became a daily occurrence, with insults and derogatory comments becoming the norm. She would criticize David's every move, tearing down his self-esteem piece by piece. Her words were like daggers, piercing his heart and leaving him emotionally battered and bruised. The once vibrant and confident David began to withdraw from the world. He lost his sense of self-worth, believing the lies Sarah fed him about his incompetence and worthlessness. He became a shell of his former self, trapped in a toxic relationship that seemed impossible to escape. Sarah's abusive behavior didn't stop at words alone. She would use physical intimidation to assert her dominance over David. She would throw objects, slam doors, and even resort to physical violence on occasion. The fear of her wrath kept David trapped in a cycle of abuse, unable to break free from the chains that bound him. As the abuse continued, Sarah's infidelity came to light. She sought solace in the arms of another man, betraying the vows she had made to David. Her affair was not only a betrayal of their marriage, but also a cruel twist of the knife in David's already wounded heart. The love story that had once been filled with hope and promise had now turned into a nightmare. David was left questioning everything he had believed about love and commitment. He was left to pick up the shattered pieces of his life, trying to make sense of the chaos that Sarah had created. In the depths of his despair, David realized that he had to find the strength to break free from the toxic grip of Sarah's abuse. He knew that he deserved better, that love should never come at the cost of his happiness and well-being. And so, with a heavy heart and a determination to reclaim his life, David took the first step towards rebuilding himself and finding a way out of the darkness. Little did he know that this journey would lead him to unexpected places, where he would discover the power of forgiveness, redemption, and ultimately, a new beginning. But that is a story for another chapter, a chapter that holds the key to David's salvation and the possibility of a brighter future. The honeymoon phase is often considered the most blissful and enchanting period in a relationship. It is a time when two people are deeply in love, filled with excitement, and eager to embark on their journey together. For Sarah and Mark, the honeymoon phase was no exception. Their love story began with a whirlwind romance that swept them off their feet and into a world of passion and happiness. As they exchanged vows on their wedding day, Sarah and Mark believed they had found their perfect match. Their love was pure, and their dreams were intertwined. The honeymoon phase was a time of endless affection, where they couldn't keep their hands off each other, and every moment was filled with laughter and joy. During this phase, Sarah's behavior seemed flawless. She was attentive, caring, and showered Mark with love and affection. She would surprise him with thoughtful gestures, plan romantic dates, and constantly express her love for him. Mark felt like the luckiest man alive, basking in the glow of their newfound love. However, beneath the surface, there were subtle signs of trouble that began to emerge. Sarah had a tendency to be controlling, always wanting things her way. At first, Mark dismissed it as her strong personality, believing it was just a part of who she was. But as time went on, her behavior became more pronounced and began to take a toll on their relationship. Sarah's controlling nature gradually transformed into emotional abuse. She would belittle Mark, criticize his choices, and undermine his self-esteem. She would manipulate situations to make him feel guilty for things that were beyond his control. Mark found himself constantly walking on eggshells, afraid of setting off Sarah's anger. The once loving and caring wife became increasingly possessive and jealous. She would question Mark's every move, demanding to know where he was at all times. She isolated him from his friends and family, making him feel like he had no one to turn to except her. Sarah's need for control extended to every aspect of their lives, leaving Mark feeling suffocated and trapped. The emotional abuse escalated over time, leaving Mark feeling helpless and trapped in a toxic relationship. Sarah's behavior began to chip away at his self-confidence, making him doubt his own worth. He became a shell of his former self, constantly seeking validation from Sarah, hoping to regain some semblance of the love they once shared. The honeymoon phase had long faded, replaced by a constant cycle of apologies and promises from Sarah. She would apologize for her behavior, promising to change and be a better wife. Mark, desperate to salvage their relationship, would forgive her, hoping that things would improve. But the cycle would repeat itself, with Sarah's abusive behavior resurfacing time and time again. The once vibrant and passionate love between Sarah and Mark had been overshadowed by Sarah's abusive behavior. The honeymoon phase had become a distant memory, replaced by a constant state of fear and uncertainty. Mark found himself questioning whether he could continue living in this toxic environment, wondering if there was any hope for their relationship to be salvaged. Little did Mark know that the unraveling secrets and the discovery of Sarah's infidelity would soon push their relationship to its breaking point. The journey ahead would be filled with heartache, betrayal, and ultimately, the search for redemption. As the honeymoon phase began to fade, cracks started to appear in what was once a seemingly perfect relationship. The signs of trouble were subtle at first, easily dismissed as mere misunderstandings or temporary frustrations. However, as time went on, these signs grew more pronounced, revealing a darker side to the wife's behavior. One of the earliest signs of trouble was the wife's tendency to manipulate her husband's emotions. She would often use guilt as a weapon, making him feel responsible for her unhappiness or dissatisfaction. She would twist his words and actions, distorting them to fit her narrative and make him question his own intentions. This emotional manipulation left him feeling constantly on edge, unsure of how to please her or avoid her wrath. Another red flag in their relationship was the wife's need for control. She would dictate how he should dress, who he could spend time with, and even how he should think. Any deviation from her expectations would result in a barrage of criticism and belittlement. Slowly but surely, she isolated him from his friends and family, leaving him feeling trapped and dependent on her for validation and approval. As the tension in their relationship escalated, the wife's abusive behavior took a more overt form. She would unleash a torrent of verbal abuse, hurling insults and demeaning comments at her husband. She would belittle his achievements, mock his dreams, and undermine his self-confidence. The constant barrage of negativity left him feeling worthless and questioning his own worth. One of the most insidious signs of trouble was the wife's use of gaslighting. She would distort reality, making her husband doubt his own perceptions and memories. She would deny things she had said or done, making him question his sanity. This manipulation tactic left him feeling confused and disoriented, unable to trust his own judgment or hold her accountable for her actions. The wife's jealousy was another indication of the trouble brewing in their relationship. She would become possessive and suspicious, constantly questioning his loyalty and accusing him of infidelity without any evidence. Her jealousy was suffocating, leading to arguments and further eroding the trust between them. As the wife's abusive behavior intensified, she began to withhold affection from her husband. She would use intimacy as a weapon, denying him physical and emotional connection as a means of punishment. This left him feeling rejected and unloved, further damaging his self-esteem and deepening the rift between them. While the husband was unaware of it at the time, the wife had already started emotionally investing in someone else. She would confide in another man, seeking solace and validation outside of her marriage. This emotional infidelity was a clear sign that their relationship was in serious trouble, as she sought emotional fulfillment elsewhere instead of addressing the issues within their marriage. All of these signs of trouble contributed to escalating tensions between the wife and her husband. The once loving and supportive relationship had transformed into a toxic and volatile environment. The husband felt trapped, constantly walking on eggshells to avoid setting off his wife's anger. The signs of trouble were impossible to ignore, and they served as a warning that their marriage was on the brink of collapse. As the story unfolds, these signs of trouble will continue to play a significant role in the deterioration of their relationship. The husband will be forced to confront the reality of his wife's abusive behavior and make difficult decisions about his future.